Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast version of my review on Trench. Um, I'm doing it this way just because it'll make my life a little bit easier. So yeah. Um, so Trench, I've been waiting for this album for who knows how long at this point. I've actually got it right here with me. I'll show you guys, but again, podcasts. But it's just your basic a double LP gatefold. There's 14 tracks, including the singles Levitate, Jumpsuit, My Blood, and Nico and the Niners, and hopefully Morph soon, I'd like to think. But, oh gosh, I'm getting it covered in my fingerprints now. Um, I've actually been listening to this one quite a lot today, so it's actually still on my record player as we speak. Um, Came with a download code. Again, 2 LPs. I got the basic version, so I didn't get the you know, um, what do you call that thing? I didn't get like the color edition or whatever, but that's all right. Anyway, let's get right into the music. I've been waiting for this for well since Blurryface came out. Um, the only songs we've really been getting are Heathens and the My Chemical Romance cover. But finally, we've got a good full-length album from them. If you haven't been keeping track of the 21 Pilots fandom right now, it's really bad in terms of how crazy things were for a while with how scared everyone was with all the weird cryptic stuff that they're posting, and we didn't know when the new stuff was coming out. But yeah, it all started when Tyler didn't show up to an award show, and Josh tried to explain it through some weird cryptic way, and then he's like, "Yeah, something about Tyler," and then everyone just started looking it up, and then we found some website, and yeah, it just went on from there. But the story that came from that is applied to this record, which is really neat. That I feel like this is a true concept album. Like while Blurryface had an idea of Blurryface, like being Tyler's anxiety, like this was a neat way of putting it into a more cohesive um, piece, I guess you could say. So let's get right into the music here. Jumpsuit, first track. I didn't know if I liked this track to start off with when I first listened to it. I'm like, oh, all right, this is all right. It doesn't sound like any of their other stuff, but that's not to say it's bad. But like the more I listened to it, the more I started to appreciate it and like the nice bass line and how they're actually giving Tyler a bit of room to expand when it comes to playing his own instruments. Um, they definitely made the right choice with only doing the screaming part once. I felt if they milked that a little too much, it would have ruined the song a little. There aren't too many screams on this album, so if you're a fan of Tyler screaming, I'm sorry, but this album tries to stay away from that, except for Jumpsuit. And I think there's two or so others. There may be one or two. I'm not 100% sure where they are, but definitely the most notable one is on Jumpsuit. But definitely starts you off on the album right. But it transfers right into Levitate, which is really cool because I can't think of 121 Pilot song that goes into the next like a Pink Floyd album, so to say, like how they fade into the next one very smoothly. Um, but yeah, Levitate is their response to not having a lot of rapping on Jumpsuit or Nico and the Niners until the end part of Nico. But this is a full um, like Lane Boy level of how much Tyler is getting his words out. Like it is impressive. This is probably one of my favorite tracks on the album, mostly because it's just nice to listen to, like when you're in the car and stuff. Just just driving around and you're listening to Levitate, But it's actually got a reference to car radio in it, which I thought was super neat. Um, in the quote, let's see here. I just saw it. I got back what I once bought back in that slot I won't need to replace. Now, obviously, that's a reference to car radio. Someone stole something from the slot in his car, which was his car radio, but now it's back. So, what does that say for the story of this? Yeah, but anyway, yeah, Levitate is a very well produced track, and it's very obvious through this album that it's a way more like maturely produced piece. It's definitely not gonna say there's more work put into it, but it's I'm not gonna say it's more normal either. It's just it's like a very refined sound um compared to some of their other works. The next song, Morph, I highly enjoy to death. I would defend the song with my life, probably. Um, I love, I absolutely love this song so much. And it's mostly because of the really, really good backing track in the background. And there's that, first of all, going for it. There's also, there's this one section where, again, it references a whole story with Dima, which is the whole backstory of how this album came into being, which is really neat that they keep making references to that. It's also got this really, really jazzy section in the middle that's got like some nice little piano chords overlaid on top of Josh's drumming, and it just sounds very nice. It's nothing like what they've done before, and it just sounds very. There's a lot of growth, as well, I'll say. Um, Last part of side one, My Blood. This is another one of the singles. This is probably the most poppy single on here, but Tyler's voice has definitely been he's definitely been working on it because you can tell on this song specifically, his falsetto is ridiculous. Like it is gorgeous, and he plays his bass some more on this one, and I'm glad that you can actually hear it for once. It's really neat they're actually trying to give him some credit for actually being a multi instrumentalist, but it's not my favorite. Just I I don't know what it is. There's just something about the song that um I'm not a fan of in the very beginning, but as it keeps going on, then eventually it adds more and more layers on, and it starts to get a little bit more cohesive, I guess you could say. So on to one of the longer songs on the record, Chlorine. This is like a 5-ish minute song, 5.5, I want to say. Um, and again, like they slow it down, and I'm not gonna say it's experimental because it's long, but it's definitely got a different sound that at the same time is um, it's easy to be receptive to a sound like this, and it does have a lot of changes throughout the song that exhibit the fact that they're able to be diverse in the same song, which is something that they're known for, their diversity of genre. And I just got to make this comment. It is a gorgeous packaging for this record. I love it. Oh my gosh, just looking at the lyric sheets, they've got shots from where they did the jumpsuit jumpsuit music video up in well up. I'm pretty sure it's in New Zealand. I want to say that sounds about right. But oh my gosh, it's just gorgeous. But anyway, next song, Smithereens. There's always been a cute song in every 21 Pilots record. And this one goes to Smithereens. This one's mostly about Jenna, um, Tyler's wife. Um, this is just full of funny lyrics and just good old Tyler and Jenna cuteness. Um, Smithereens has a specific lyric where he says, "For you, I know I will get messed up. I'll weigh 153. For you, I will get beat to smithereens." Now, it's obvious that he's talking to Jenna through this song, but something about this album is that he's always talked about his problems on Vessel, on Blurry Face, on all these other records. But in this album, it's almost like he's talking to the fan base and everyone's lives that he affects as a whole and saying, I'm carrying your guys' problems too. And hearing that, even if you're not a 21 Pilots fan, it's just comforting to know that there's others out there that are carrying things for you, and that's um, it's just a very receptive feeling. Is I guess the word I'm going for. It's plenty like it's just a very friendly sounding song. Um, Completely on the opposite side of that is Neon Gravestones, which I must say, this is a sad one. This is a very, very sad one. Okay, so instead of doing mostly a review on how the song sounds, because yes, it sounds good, that's all I'm going to say about it. It fits well where it is on the record. It's on the last song on the B side of four sides, so that's like right at the end. So like after the song, you have to get up and change the record, which is a lot of time to let you sit and think about what I'm about to say. You guys know Mac Miller, right? He died, obviously. We all know he's dead. Take Mac Miller, take Prince, take Avicii, all those famous musicians. Um, a lot of people like them. A lot of people really liked them even when they were alive, but when they died, people valued them even more. Now, what Tyler's saying in this song is that if he were to do the same thing, obviously not by natural causes, but by his own hand, if he were to do that, he would get the same kind of reception, and that would be good to him. Like, like looking down on that from wherever he ends up. But the whole imagery of the neon gravestones is to say that there's something that is equivalent with, like, met with glory if he were to die. Now, obviously, in terms of the concept album, Trench, it definitely does have a huge impact on the story. But outside of that, the message that he's sending is clearer than it ever has been. He's going straight to the point on a song for once without using metaphors. Maybe a few metaphors, but once the end hits, it all goes to spoken word. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really long. But he says this one specific line about finding your grandparents or someone of age and paying respect for the path that they paved to life they were dedicated. Now that should be celebrated. And when he says that at the very end, the track just cuts out, and you have to go get up and flip that record over and think about that while he just said that, and leaving you on that, like, that somber note is crushing. Like, he's never been so direct in any sort of song. And hearing it on their newest album, especially after Blurry Face, is refreshing to hear him, like, throw away, like, okay, I've used a bunch of metaphors in the past before, but here's straight to the point what I've been saying this whole time. And it's it's beautiful that he's able to do that now. The fact that he can just get straight to the point and not have to hide behind metaphors. Like, well, not hide behind metaphors. I feel like that was a little harsh. But to say something so controversial but still have it able to connect with that person who's listening, no matter who they are. And the fact that he did that on this record and not on any other record is just mind blowing. And I'm glad he did it on this one as opposed to another one, because now um, he can apply with that more well produced sound. And that combined with the words, just perfect storm. But anyway, moving on to next song, The Hype. If you've ever heard the band The Killers, I've heard this one described as their most Killers-esque song, and I would have to agree. I, again, it's an okay song. It's not my favorite on the album by any means, but it does have very interesting message following up neon gravestones and some very interesting imagery. I like the way that he describes that. Well, 21 Pilots has always been like they've always pandered to someone. Every band panders to someone, right? Well, in this song, he's stating that he doesn't want the people who listen to him to believe the quote unquote hype. Now, that hype is different for every other person, whether that be a new album coming out, say, or a new fad. But coming from someone like Tyler, it takes on a completely different meaning just because of the music that he's made in his past. But it's definitely a catchy song for sure. Um, and again, it sounds very Killers-esque. I would definitely have to agree with that. Moving on, Nico and the Niners, one of my favorite songs on this record, other than Pet Cheetah. Nico and the Niners, again, it relates heavily to the storyline of the album, which is based around Dima, which is that freaky place with the 9 bishops, hence the name Nico and the Niners. Earlier in the song Morph, he references someone named Nicholas Bourbaki. That is a pseudonym of a few mathematicians who try to mathematically prove the existence of a god. And they also just did a bunch of weird stuff with math. But that was probably the most important out of all of them. But anyway, um, and again, there's so many references to the Dima storyline and Tyler trying to get out of Dima. But as a song though, it's a very interesting opening. It kind of seems like the exact opposite of Ride. Like how Ride had the happy kind of like reggae thing to it. Imagine like a really like paranoid reggae. It's hard to describe, but like it there's just something wrong and like you can hear it, but like at the same time makes you more and more intrigued the more you listen to it. And further on, there's this one section where the song slows down and it reverses the track and Tyler raps over that, and that's just awesome. The fact that like you can have a song play forwards and sing something over that, but then like take that same track and reverse it and do more stuff over it. The versatility not only of the band but of the production shines on this song. Absolutely like clear, specifically on the song. Um, Cut My Lip, which is the next song. Again, more imagery about Dima, but um, this song has some very, very interesting stuff about the song Migraine. If you remember the song Migraine from Vessel, he mentions something about a bunch of lions, right? Well, this time he references the lions but says that he's one of them and that he's part of their pride. And if you remember, the lions in Vessel were always described as being bad and like wanting to kill him, even though they were him. You can probably work out that metaphor yourself. But anyway, he describes himself as one of the lions, but this time in a more triumphant way. And the more this album goes along, the more you start to realize, okay, Tyler's gotten over everything through the metaphor of escaping Dima. While Blurry Face represented his anxiety and his imperfections and stuff like that, Dima represents um, where he's not only physically but mentally caged up in this weird place that he has to change himself to get out of. Hence the fact that the the bishops cannot see yellow, and that's why the whole album is themed around yellow, is because the bishops cannot see yellow, and that's how he's going to escape from Dima. But the next song, Bandito, if you've watched the music videos, Josh is one of the banditos. He dresses in olive green, yellow duct tape. Not the most fashionable, but it'll get him out of Dima. Um, Again, another slower song. Definitely not as slow and sad as Neon Gravestones, but instead Bandito seems like, I feel like it's gonna be a sleeper hit. I feel like this is gonna be the one where like when the album's out for like a good few months, people are gonna hear it again and be like, "Whoa, this is really good." Kind of like how kind of like how Golden Days was on Death of a Bachelor, which I love. But yeah, Bandito is more of an anthem almost. I feel like how he describes how he is one of those people now, and how him and Josh are going to escape from Dima. It's all just it all develops through a very interesting storyline. Even if you don't follow the storyline, it still has like very interesting like things to chew on in terms of messages and themes and stuff. But as a song, again, Tyler and his high notes are killing me. I mean, he's no Brendan Urie for sure, but still, there's growth in this album, and it's evident by the fact that they're able to tone themselves down when they need to get some sort of feeling or point across, and that shows a lot of maturity as an artist. I'm glad they're able to do that now. Moving on to the last three songs here. Ooh, we're about to get sad, I guess. I mean, the last two songs are a little sad, but Pet Cheetah, the bop of the year, other than Morph. It is amazing. There's just no other way to describe it. Um, like Tyler sings on this one, it strikes me very much as fairly local. Possibly no, not fairly local. Message Man. It is the message man of this album, I feel like, because it has the same like cult like feel where like when you listen to it, it sounds like something a cult would sing. It's very weird, but that follows along with like again the whole theme of the album and how Tyler's trying to get out of Dima and there's a group trying to help him get out. But this song is so neat because it describes writer's block in a very odd way that I've never heard before. Um, like Tyler describes, he made some sort of beat, but he thinks he's going to delete it so he can get some exercise because he doesn't want to take away his own humanity just to create art. And that's very evident with just this album in general and how it came out. It was a long time. It was a very, very long time. And I'm sure the boys put in a lot of work for this, and I'm proud of them for it. But when Tyler describes it through a song, it almost hurts a little bit. Just the fact that like he has to describe the situation through one of his songs and take up a slot on the album to describe that. Nonetheless, this is my favorite song on the album, other than Morph. Other than Morph and Nico and the Niners, probably one of my favorite songs on the album. Really good. The next song, Legend, it keeps a little upbeat just for the last part. It's a little sad because it's about Tyler's grandfather, but yeah, it's just a happy, like poppy little song. It makes me think very much of who am I trying to think of? An AWOL Nation song, and that's funny because they're well, I mean, like the new AWOL Nation. I mean, like Here Come the Runts era version of AWOL Nation. But it's funny because they're actually touring with AWOL Nation for this tour coming up, the Bandito tour. So that's probably why they picked them. But yeah, it's got a lot of lyrics about Tyler's grandpa that obviously are kind of sad because of the whole situation with that. But the only thing I don't like about the song is where it's placed on the album. It feels a little weird to put it right next to the next song, which is Leave the City, which is about obviously leaving Dima. But this song makes me think they may be done. Because Tyler's talking about some sort of fire, and he's keeping it kind of alive, but it's messing up everything else. Like, he's trying to keep this fire here for other people, but there's other things that fire is wrecking, like, quote, his plans, unquote. But the fire's starting to get lowish, is what he's talking about. But still, this is the goner to the other album. Like Neon Gravestones is the truth slash goner of this album. But in terms of album placement, Leave the City is the same as Goner and Truths. But it's sad because it makes you think, if this is really their last album, I wouldn't mind it. Like, this is a good place to stop, guys. Like, honestly, that would be okay. Because I love this album to death, and there's nothing else that I'd want past this. And if there's anything else past this, I'd just be spoiled. So the rest of the fan base with how I've been acting. But the last note of Leave the City is the last note of Truce. And that killed me. Hearing that and thinking, that's the last note of Truce. And Truce was a song about the quote-unquote night, which in Blurryface is Blurryface pretty much, because there's always been some sort of antagonist in the 21 Pilots album. In Vessel, it was the night. In Blurryface, it was Blurryface. In Trench, it was Dima, just as a whole. But Trench, well, Truce actually Truce has the end of the song describing how the night is, quote, coming to an end. Ooh, 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 ooh. Obviously, that's not how it sounds, but anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to throw a little bit of comic relief in here. It's getting sad. But, yeah, anyway. The end of Leave the City is definitely hopeful. It shows Tyler's starting to get better, to get out of Dima, and for everyone else to get out as well, if anyone else is stuck in there in this album, because Tyler can't be the only one in there. Like, through the music videos, we've seen other people, but anyway, just this whole album, it's a step up. It's a big step up for the guys, and I don't know how they're gonna pull this off in concert, because this was like, Blurryface was good, okay? It was good. Vessel, really good. But Trench? Trench is amazing. Like, I'm not just saying that because it just came out. I'm saying that because Trench is genuinely a really good album, even if you're not a 21 Pilots fan. Like I've had friends listen to this who aren't really 21 Pilots fans too much, and they still enjoyed a song or two. And that just shows, like, I'm not saying everyone has to like a band for it to be good, because that applies to a lot of pop music. But when you can convince someone who's not really a fan of the music to like your music, not because it is subjectively good, but because it is objectively growth from your last few projects, that is a sign that you're becoming better as a band. And that whole sign is this record. And that is my perspective on it. This whole record is a love letter to the fan base, but at the same time is showing that they're able to outgrow themselves again and again and again and again without fail. And that's just awesome. That is just awesome. This album's awesome. Go listen to it. If you don't like 21 Pilots, you may end up liking this. I don't know. But anyway, I'm glad you guys listened. I enjoyed talking about Trench for a good 30 minutes. I love this album. I hope you guys do too. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for listening. This is Vinyl Show Podcast signing off.